be the duty of every male citizen of the United States and every other male person residing in the United States who on the day or days fixed for the first or any subsequent registration is between the ages of 18 and 26 to present himself or submit to registration at such times. Now, folks, this is the act, this is the official website, and this is the official National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2026. And this is it right here. Selective Service System Automatic Registration, folks. So you don't even gotta go and register for this. It is automatic, supersonic, funky, fresh. All right, folks. Whether that be, it's an inconvenience, to be honest. You know, like, I mean, you could have. It was a lot harder for them. It would have been a lot harder for them to track you down and submit you to this. Now, folks, we're gonna go into education, right? So first and foremost, prepare for whatever test, depending on the branch. For the Army, which is what I'm most familiar with, is the ASVAB. That's going to determine what kind of jobs you get. For those interested in anything related to languages, you should be studying a language for 4 to 8 hours a day, and probably you got to have several years under your belt. Now, whatever branch you select, know the basics. In other words, know the greetings, the ranks, and rank structures, creeds, and the branch song. Now, I pulled it up over here. I want to say it's this one. That's right. All right. So if you join the Army, every branch has its own thing. As I said before, I'm most familiar with the Army. So we're going to talk about the Army. So anyways, so you want to start with the Army values, which is basically, you want to know the words right here. The loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. These are all great, I want to say honorable things that to live by. I think everybody should probably do this. But anyways, it would be nice to know all this, but there's a lot of information you're going to need to remember. So don't focus on that. Just remember the words. Now, warrior ethos. This is in the Soldier's Creed, so if you memorize this, you're going to know the Soldier's Creed. Just a little, you got to take every little bit of tips you can, folks, to make this a lot easier. If you, let's say, decide to go down the officer route, not the officer route, rather, if you want to go down and get an education first, like you want to go to university, I recommend you learn the NCO Creed, because if you graduate with a bachelor's degree, you're gonna go in as an E4, which is a specialist rank, and you'll be up for a sergeant sooner than you think. So you want to be ahead of your peers, folks, and also those of you who are high speed, really want to do something a little bit different, a little bit more difficult to achieve, I definitely recommend to memorize the Ranger Creed. I don't think you're going to have a real hard time at Ranger School if you do not memorize this. I'll tell you that right now. So, also the ranks, folks. Make sure to know the ranks. This is the enlisted ranks. You're going to have your warrant officer ranks, and you're going to have your officer ranks. Now, what's the difference? This is enlisted, folks. Basically, people who do not really need a college degree. This is what most people who are going to be drafted are going to end up in this area. If I believe if you have some sort of a technicality degree, or if you go down and get a specific contract, you will be preliminarily being enlisted. You'll go through basic training, and then after that, you'll be going to I want to say warrant officer training, and then you'll be going to aviation school. Don't quote me on that, but there is a direct track for that. But it is a 10-year contract, bear in mind. And then you have your officer. Now, these are the people who commission. They don't enlist, they commission. That means that they are authorized by the Congress to serve. So it's a bit different, folks. If you ask me, it depends on what your goals are, folks. So I want to say I don't want to tell you to join any specific one. It all depends on you. Right, and for that matter, if you haven't graduated and there's a problem, we're gonna take a look at extreme scenarios. Like if you haven't graduated from college yet, folks, I highly recommend you enlist, even if it is a part-time position such as the National Guard or Reserves. That way you can have the position that you want. You ain't got to stress about it. You already know, you're familiar with what you need to know and prepared. You don't want to be the new guy showing up. Right. You want to know your gradings, ranks, and structures. We're running through this, folks. Now we're going to go through training. The maximum of your standard, the maximum of the standard is your minimum. And what do I mean by that, folks? Every branch, you're going to have some sort of physical exam that you're going to have to go through. And for the Army, it is the ACFT. Here it is. Army Physical Fitness Test. Right. Army Fitness Test. It's called the Army Combat Fitness Test. I don't know why. AFT. I guess they changed it. Whatever. Back in my days. Anyways. So here we go. We got the deadlift. We got the hand release, push-up, arm extension. Folks, this is harder than regular push-ups. We got the sprint, drag, carry, the plank, and the 2-mile run. What does that mean, folks? You're basically lifting that up and down. Simple. It's about 3 times. You got to do it in a nice controlled motion. And then you got your hand release push-ups. You go up, you go down, your arms go out, they go back in, you can do another one. You just keep going as much as you can. And then you got the sprint, drag, carry. You're running. I forgot how many meters it is exactly. Let's see here. There it is. It's a 550-meter shuttle. So you got 50 meters. You got 50 meters, 50 meters. Well, 5 times. You're going to be doing different exercises. You're going to be carrying some dumbbells. You're going to be dragging a sled. It's not really a sled. It's just some weight on a pad. And you're going to be doing some sprinting. And then you're going to be doing some laterals. Then you got the plank. Now, the plank, folks, this is all a head game. If you didn't get an 100 in this, I wouldn't even bother considering joining any kind of special operation, because this is literally all about your mental fortitude. Unless you're extremely overweight, like I believe this person's kind of obese. I'm surprised that even in the military. But let's continue over here. And then you have the 2-mile run. Now, the 2-mile run is fairly simple. It's not that hard. And I got ChatGPT here to see you can look at the scores. Now, what did I say? I said the maximum of your standard, the maximum standard of the standard is your minimum. So, in other words, folks, this is where you want to be at. If you want to be successful, folks, you want to be able to do this. You want to be able to achieve this goal. This is where you want to be at. This is the sweet spot. All right, folks. Now, this is for people who want to do exceptionally well and be the best kinds of soldiers. So this is special operations related kind of soldiers. Everybody else, it's nice. I will say it's very nice. It's going to definitely help you out a lot. But it's definitely not a priority. But if you're in any kind of infantry role, or you're trying to be high speed and be in special operations, this is where you want to be at, folks. Ain't no other way about it. Or damn near close. And even then, you better have something special. Now, for the training itself, for preparing, now your range of motion is vital for you to avoid injuries. Focus on explosive energy, sprinting, deadlifts, push-ups, etc. Training your joints, shoulder mobility exercises, hip mobility exercises, and rucking. Once a week, do a 12-mile ruck, which should consist of at least 45 pounds dry, which means not including water. All right, folks, we're going to move on to healthy. Being healthy. All right, I think I pulled up some stuff over here. There it is. This is the official USDA food pyramid, folks. Now, I'm sure you've heard that it was upside down for decades. I wonder why. And, you got people all obese and heart disease and all kinds of other problems. But anyways, I digress. This is not what that is about right now. So for your diet, your diet should primarily consist of animal products and moderate amount of carbs. It is down there, folks, but that's a bunch of bullshit. And I'll tell you, I ain't gonna give you the whole explanation, but refrain from eating vegetables. They have anti-nutrients. All right, folks. Anti-nutrients absorb nutrients from your body. If necessary, ensure all your vegetables are thoroughly cooked, and I mean thoroughly, folks. Charred, damn near charred, before ingesting it. Fruits should be eaten in moderation. Sugar should only be consumed immediately after a workout, or if you're about to do a cardio-intensive workout. For example, you're participating in a marathon or a ruck march, something like that, folks. Any other case, you don't really need that much sugar. If possible, substitute the sugar with some honey. Now, butter, salt, and avocado is your best friend, folks. Notice that stuff is all up here. With respect to interacting with medical, get a religious waiver for vaccines and document everything, folks. And I mean everything. No one is gonna care more about your health than yourself. All right, folks. Now let's take a quick look at that food pyramid that I was telling you about. All right, let me pull it up over here. I have it over here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what the food pyramid really should look like. Now, you see all this? You want to get rid of all that. Yeah. Right there. Yep. Right there. Yep. Yes, sir. Yep. None of that. I want to say get rid of this specific fruit, the apple, because of the wax that's on the apples that they got. That's toxic for you. So get rid of that. So also, folks, keep in mind that you have glyphosate being sprayed on all this stuff. So you're gonna want to do your best to wash that crap off. And also I forgot to mention nuts. Yeah, folks, that's right, folks. You gotta get rid of nuts. That also has anti-nutrients in it. What does that mean, folks? Don't forget, that absorbs the nutrients. So this is it, folks. That's really what, and this is, you want to start off from here and work your way down. And honestly, what I would do is, I want to say this. I want to grab that, and I'm gonna put that down here, folks. Honestly, that's what you want to do. That's how it's got to be. This is like rare. Okay, this is like way down here. That's even further down. So this is what you where you want to be at. Avocado is the only form of, it's actually not a fruit or a vegetable, regardless of the seed in the middle. That dumbass argument. But anyways, it's an oil, folks. Its properties of that of an oil. It is the only solid form of oil that's naturally made in the existent world, folks. That's good for consumption. So I'm gonna move on from that, and what we're gonna do is continue here. Where do we want to go? All right. Know your profession. That's right. Create a goal and set of steps to reach the goal. Before you sign anything, know your MOS, your branch of service, and what you intend to achieve from the military. If you're wise, you'll know there's more to life than the military. So keep in mind when you decide to join active duty, National Guard, or the reserves, folks. Now, let's go ahead and take a look here at some of these branches. You have the Army. All right, folks, for the Army, it's if you want money, folks, I would think that it's the biggest branch. Like literally, it has the more boats in the Navy, it has more airplanes in the Air Force, folks. And they have the biggest budget. You see, they got the most amount of bonuses, the highest kind of bonuses, and they have a just about every job you can think of, folks. Now, let's see here. For the Army, I want to say the biggest problem with if you don't, which is most of you, most of everybody, you're not gonna get in to a good position. And what I mean is that in the Army, you got multiple jobs. You ain't just doing the job that you selected. Let's take, for example, no, that's special operations. Here we go. These are a lot. You're definitely, all of these jobs here, these combat-oriented jobs, you're definitely going to be doing that job. Don't get that twisted. But let's see here. Army recruit member. Here we go. Petroleum, yeah. So let's take these jobs over here. The air defense artillery, pretty much every job that's not related to infantry, like directly related to infantry work. You're gonna have the job, but that doesn't mean, folks, that you're gonna be doing the job. There's a lot of little jobs, I want to call them side quests in a way, but they ain't side quests. It's like a secondary job that you got to hold in the military, and it's a real drag for the most part. They're not the most glamorous jobs, folks. That's why there's a big saying that don't ever volunteer for anything, folks. Now, if you do volunteer for something, folks, you want to volunteer for something that is going to increase your career, all right? And we got this over here. We got this intelligence analyst, right? Now, as an analyst, folks, there's going to be unit positions that are going to be necessary. That you're just going to need people in them. You're going to want to pick a position that's definitely going to benefit you in your career. So, especially in intelligence, you're going to want, I want to say, to get as many schoolings as possible, try to deploy because that experience that you're gonna get is gonna be extremely valuable. Now, for the Army, that is the downside, folks. It is that you're gonna have multiple different kind of positions that does not relate to your actual occupation. That I want to say that is the biggest downfall for the Army. But you have the biggest budget. You got the most kinds of different jobs, folks. Lots of different bases all over the place. So we'll go ahead to the Navy. For the Navy, I want to say the best benefit of the Navy is that you get to travel the most in the Navy, from what I've heard. But similarly to the Army, you're gonna have some side jobs that you're really not gonna want to do. And you're not going to travel that much unless you're on a ship. So my recommendation is to do whatever kind of research you can possibly do that is legal, obviously, and try to do a job that gets you on that ship that takes you to where you want to go, if that makes sense. Some ships are going to be in specific theaters of war or combat or whatever the hell they call it nowadays. But let's say you want to go to the Asian Pacific. You want to look at the kind of ships that are around that area. I don't know, some kind of aircraft carrier or whatever. Then you want to be that kind of mechanic that stores them kind of like airplanes and aircrafts or whatever. And then that's how you're gonna get that gig. It's not gonna be that simple. Now, for the Marines, I want to say the Marines is like, if you want that very stereotypical military movie experience, this is it, folks. But with respect to your future prospects in life, this is a serious negative. It's just a hyper ridiculous military. It's like watching Starship Troopers or what was that? That one movie, Full Metal Jacket. That's right. There's no action. They ain't gonna hit you, not in front of people at least. But these people definitely experience the military, stereotypical military experience. So if you want that, you're gonna get that, folks. But keep in mind, they do have the lowest budget, so you're not gonna be getting all the cool opportunities that you really think of. You will be with the Navy. If you're fortunate enough, you might get on one of them ships that has a crew and assortment of these Marines. One of the positive sides of being a Marine is I believe it's a lot easier to get into embassy work. But folks, make sure to I want to say for getting into embassy work, that you got to get that in your contract, folks. If it's not in your contract, folks, and for any service, it's not going to happen most likely. Now you got the Space Force. And this is going to be like your top tier branches: the Space Force, the Air Force, and the Coast Guard. And I'll go through each of them. The Space Force and the Air Force, the great thing is they got a good budget, and you're definitely going to do your job. That is a guarantee. And you want that, folks. You want to get that experience. You want to get that education. And you got great bases, and you got great living standards. So that's your top tier. And now you got the Coast Guards. Now for the Coast Guard, the great thing, if you're gonna do federal work like law enforcement and stuff like that, this is where you're gonna want to be at, because the Coast Guard falls directly under Department of Homeland Security. So if you ever intend to work for Department of Homeland Security, or you want to do some federal law enforcement work or something like that, they have intelligence jobs, folks. So it's not just like being a cop or whatever. They have the positions for that. So So those are the benefits. Now I want to talk about the joining, whether you want to go active duty, National Guard, or the reserves. Now active duty, this full time, folks, every day, all day. It's 24 hours. It's absolutely ridiculous. And but it is the good thing about that is, folks, if somehow you manage to be the miracle, you get the job you want and you get the schools you want and all that, folks, it's gonna look great on your resume, but that's not for everybody. That is the very few people that do get those kind of opportunities. Now you have the National Guard and the reserves, and this is the one that I think is the best choice, folks. Now, let's say hypothetically, all right, let me go back. So active duty, you don't get to choose your unit. You more or less get to like narrow it down if you choose the base that you want to go to. And I want to say you can also, so you narrow down the base that you can go to with your job and also the kind of education that you bring. And if you get into special operations, that pretty much narrows down what kind of units that you go to as well. So there's that. For active duty, you also get the benefit of you can put a location, which is similar to what I was saying before. What kind of location you want to go to? You can go to whatever is in your contract. As long as it's in your contract, folks. If it's not in your contract, folks, I can't stress this enough. If it's not in there, you're probably not going to get it, folks. It's very unlikely. But if you guys are really interested in having like a specific route to take to get the best experience, I can do a whole video on that. But now for the National Guard, folks, it's a part-time position. You go twice a month, and then you do a 2-week cycle. Of course, there are exceptions, folks. You can speak with your command. This goes for the reserves. This is pretty much similar. The National Guard. What's good about the National Guard, folks, is that you get to be called for natural disasters or emergencies in your state. So you get to stay home, folks. For the reserves, that isn't an option unless some sort of extreme event happens. Hopefully not. From what I hear, there is some branches like the Air Force Reserves. You have the special operations such as pararescue men. They do some kind of like stateside, I want to say, assistance with global disasters. So there is that, but it's not that common. The majority of the work is going to be done by the National Guard for the states. Now the main benefit of the National Guard and the reserves, the way I see it, is if you don't like it, now it's part-time. You don't have to deal with that much, and you can put as much as you want into it. So folks, if you don't really care for this, you can just do the twice a week and 2 days, which is a weekend out of the month. Get that out of the way, and you don't really have to deal with the military, and you can get all the benefits, or a lot of the benefits that comes with being in the military. Now, if you do like it, you can pick your missions, folks. Like there's a website where you can look at different missions going on, and you can go ahead. Of course, it's all command dependent. What does that mean, folks? That means that the military chain of command, whoever's in charge of you, is pretty much going to decide whether you go or not. You're going to put in a packet and all that. Now, the downside is the military, folks, military people aren't special. We're just people. And there's a lot of power put into these people's hands. So a lot of disgusting, grotesque behavior happens, folks. So don't be surprised when there's favoritism, nepotism, fraternization going on. Expect to kiss ass. Expect to have to do sexually deviant acts to unfortunately to get up and get anywhere, or have to do just the most ridiculous nonsense in order to put yourself on the board. Now, I mean, obviously, if you're lucky enough, you might be able to, your uncle's in charge or whatever, and you get the positions that you want, you get the missions you want, folks. But for everybody else, it's quite unfortunate how corrupt the system is, honestly. But that's the benefit about the National Guard and the Reserve. So in active duty, you don't get to choose your missions. Sometimes your unit, of course, in the National Guard and the Reserves, they're gonna need you, and they won't allow you to go on these missions. So it's a flip of a coin, folks. Your career honestly depends a lot on the unit that you get in the military, and that goes between active duty and National Guard or the Reserves. And the unit can immediately go terribly once the entire chain of command goes out. And what I mean by that is all the commissioned officers. It always boils down to all the commissioned officers. Your unit is as good as your commissioned officers, honestly. Of course, the backbone, you have your high-ranking non-commissioned officers, and people give them a whole lot of. But from my experience, folks, at least from what I know, it's definitely the commissioned officers that most definitely break or make the military experience. Now, I want to cut this as short as possible, so now we're going to move on to